a Sierra Club baddie and you're against resuming explosive nuclear weapons testing, this is for you.
I'm genuinely glad to see this video because genuinely there's nothing that I love more than to work with some Sierra Club baddies on this issue. But there's a lot of questions I have on what's not being said, because if we're talking about nuclear weapons and about testing, we need to understand what leads to that. And I don't think you're going to need to work very hard at all to guess the answer, which is war. Of course, we need to work to make sure that the US never drops a nuclear bomb again. The only nuclear bomb that has dropped that's been used for combat in history was dropped by the US on the cities of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, vaporizing tens of thousands in these cities in an instant and leaving tens of thousands more with radiation poisoning that would last for generations. And so it makes sense that any organization concerned with our existential survival would want to eliminate that threat. Nuclear plant meltdowns and bombs at their current capacity can make land unusable for generations. But these impacts also happen every day with US tax dollars and US weapons. The genocide and ecocide in Gaza has been measured to be the equivalent of over 6 Hiroshimas. The cumulative impact of the millions of bullets fired in US invasions of Iraq and Afghanistan have led to titanium being found in children's hair samples, mercury, depleted uranium, and lead seeping into food, water, and soil. And bases around the world have been known to have cancer-causing PFAS chemicals, jet fuel leakages, and elevated cancer rates from the bombs. In all of these examples, the health impacts, the birth defects have been absolutely catastrophic, and agricultural potential of land has been completely decimated. And the US is now expanding these bases and war trainings as it prepares for possible war on North Korea and China with provocative and environmentally destructive training exercises, which forces China and North Korea to prepare possible defenses against. The US is deploying thousands of troops to Puerto Rico as it is used as an environmentally catastrophic staging ground for militarization of Latin America and the Caribbean, for potentially resource-driven escalation on Venezuela, which is all also part of this much larger new Cold War on China. And so I'm glad that the Sierra Club, to come back to this, is for nuclear nonproliferation, and the work that some of their chapters have put into resisting militarism is absolutely crucial and incredible. And it's why we've started with this invitation for them in our Elephant in the Room campaign, which is inviting the 12 largest and most influential environmental organizations in the country to join this wider movement. But organizers in and out of spaces with the Sierra Club for decades have asked them to go further and have been met with a little bit of resistance to that. And so we delivered a petition to them last week and we haven't received a response yet, because we do need to work for nuclear nonproliferation. But we can't do that while still avoiding talking about what leads to the actual use of these weapons, what prompts these deadly training and testing exercises, and ending the warfare and occupation that our $1 trillion Pentagon budget pushes forward that creates just as destructive long-term impacts every single day.